Ladies and gentlemen, how do?
Hello and welcome to Mondo Street Social Club, a new podcast aimed at bringing creative minds together. Mondo Street is about sharing the creative process, discussing the highs and lows, and talking about how we cope when the creative genie eludes us. Pull up your comfy chair, put in your best headphones, and enjoy the next hour. Hello and welcome to Mondo Street Social Club. A very, very special episode tonight. We are joined by our new co-host, Daniel Honey. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Philip. Thank you for having me on the show.
You have set the tone so low, but just as we start the show. Thank you very much. So people that listen to the podcast frequently will have heard reference to One Grump or Two, which was a show that Dan and I did for a good couple of months, and it was a piece of work that we both really enjoyed, but it didn't really find the audience we wanted. So we're going to segue some of the mentality of that show into this show. So we expect the audience to go even lower now.
Yeah, I've come on it. I'm killing your numbers.
Hey, what's less than one? So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Don't start at your childhood, but try something around the creativity, who you are, what makes you tick.
Yeah, I'll do that without making it sound like Chunk in the Goonies. And when I was 7, I threw it over the balcony.
Hey, you guys.
Baby woof. I don't really know what to say. It's me.
Oh, okay. Well, so you've done podcasts
Yeah,
with me.
we did
the
infamous One Grump or Two.
Okay, which I think at some points had more outtakes than content.
Oh, there were days we couldn't complete because we just were laughing so hard. That was good times.
And that was the beauty of that podcast, because it really was a healer for us. It was definitely something that we both needed to be doing at that time, and it really, really worked. But so Mondo Street's about creativity, and not only are you a podcaster, but you're also a musician. And as I like to say, you are a very accomplished musician. You tell me off when I say that you're a better musician than I am, but we work well together when we work together. So what was it originally then? So if you go back to, it started when I was 7. What was it that inspired you to pick up your first instrument?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actress said to the bishop.
There's going to be a lot of this now. Yeah.
Do you know what? I have no idea. If I go back in time to young Daniel and think back, I don't know what it was that turned me on to music. I have no recollection of that. Not saying it's an age thing, but the thing that turned me on to playing the guitar was Guns N' Roses and Slash.
Okay.
So that got me into playing the guitar. I wanted to play like that. No chance I was going to get there, but I wanted to play like that. And I, learned Knocking on Heaven's Door was the first thing I ever learned on the guitar by myself. I was taking lessons, but I went away and did that myself. Civil War, bits and pieces like that. And then I hunkered into it. Really got into it and got into the grunge scene in a big way, Britpop when that was around, those sorts of things. For me, I guess with hindsight glasses on, it was probably an outlet that allowed me to express myself when I couldn't, if that makes sense.
Okay. It makes perfect sense.
So it was my outlet. And as I started to really focus on learning the guitar, and I learned classical guitar and I entered competitions and I was winning them, and I was like, okay, I'm all right at this sort of thing. And then I hunkered into the expression of songwriting. So allowing myself to express myself through song by writing my own songs, by studying others. And and then I just that took into my academic side. I focused on that, and then I went to university and I studied music and popular music, studied film and all these sorts of things, just the expression of an art form. And it was really hunkering into that side of things. And then I just started playing more and more. I was in bands. I was probably an absolute arse in a band because I wanted complete control because I was that much of an idiot. Bands imploded, and the only way I could do anything was as a solo artist. So did that, wrote songs, recorded them. I recorded most of the stuff was in living rooms before it was even a thing. And then started to play the venues in London because that's where I was living at the time. And that grew and grew, and then got asked to support signed artists on their London dates, which was really, really great fun. And it just grew from there. There was a little bit of label interest at the time. There was talks of co-writing with some, at that time, very famous acts, which was really, really bit of an ego boost, but it never came to anything because I was probably too scared, shied away from that sort of thing. So then families happen, and then families don't happen. And then you end up with a bit more time on your hands. So you start to pick up where you left off 20 years later. And for me, the creativity of it, going back to the ethos of the podcast, is very much it's an outlet for me to get out what's inside in a way that I can only understand. And if that resonates with people, fantastic. And it seems to have done.
So because obviously I'm very familiar with the songs that you've written and recorded and the ones that you've released, and it's a different language. It's trying to say things that you really want to say to people without actually saying it to them, or saying some of your deeper, darker thoughts without actually saying them. Putting yourself into a character and then letting that character act out the way that you wish you could.
Yeah, it's an interesting side because my kids now say, "Daddy, could you write a happy song?" when I play them the stuff that I record. I'm not saying it's 9 Inch Nails levels of nihilism, but there is a thread. And to that end, I remember someone said that exact same thing to me when I was in my early 20s, and I went, "All right, I'll take that as a challenge, actually." And I wrote a happy song. I hate playing the thing, but people loved it. It actually did quite well for itself on a small scale, but people loved it. And it was a set closer because it was a real sing-along. And every time I played it, a little part of me died. It was like, you sold out.
It reminds me of that. In one of the episodes of One Grump or Two, we did a list of songs that we wish we'd written. And neither of us put in something like Everything I Do for You or Love Is All Around Us, something which would be a huge commercial hit and give us security for our lifetime and our children's lifetimes. We both just went for things which we felt artistically were right with us.
I think in a funny way that is also across the bear, because I with age comes wisdom, and hindsight is a wonderful thing. But I look back on myself in the past and I just think, you're a pompous ass. You were an absolute pompous ass. I'm not going to like that song because it does not speak to me on a level that is artistically challenging. Gosh, shut up, you tart. It's and I still do it now. I will, on an album, I will gravitate to the song that is oh yeah, there must be real feeling in that. Well, come on. But then to bring that into context of albums out now, an album I absolutely love is Blur's new album, and the happy songs on that are fantastic. But again, that is an album that is full of self-loathing, because as most albums seem to be by artists from back in our day, they're all about people getting divorced.
It does seem to be fairly commonplace nowadays,
which is
it?
a thread I can really pull at.
Yeah, me too, me too. You know, it's almost as if the disposable society has reached to almost every aspect now, you know? Have an argument, change that one, have an argument,
Yeah.
change that one. You know, it's, hopefully it never gets to that degree then. So, with your music then, you then took that creativity and started to look at podcasting. And what was it? You know, is there a particular podcaster that you listened to that said, "Oh, actually, I think I've got something to say, and I can," you know, if they're using their voice, let me use my voice.
Interesting one. I would say podcasters I listen to at the moment, I would say that Justin Hawkins is a good one, especially for his YouTube channel,
Mm,
because I really get into that because of the
yeah,
musicality of it, and the
yeah,
deep
yeah, yeah.
dives he does in those into certain songs. I really enjoy that. Podcasters that really got me was, well, there's one that speaks to me, is Adam Buxton.
All right, yeah, yeah,
I love his podcast a bit, and in a non-funny way, I love him to bits because I've listened to
mm,
his biography. I remember Adam and Joe back in the day, Adam and Joe Cornish on BBC Six Music,
yeah,
that sort
mhm,
of trajectory of career. But there's a lot of the way he approaches things and his thought process, etc., and his creativity.
yeah,
If you, dear listener, if you ever want to delve into the bug sessions on YouTube, which are very, very witty, very funny. Um, but that his take resonates with me because there's the personality, etc. He's a big David fan as well, and how he goes into that, and the comedy and his
yeah,
approach it resonates entirely with me. And the
yeah.
guests he
That's good.
it gets on his podcast are fascinating.
Yeah.
There are a real breadth of them, and one that really took me back recently on when I was running. I was listening to the one he did with Tom Hanks, um,
All right, yeah.
which was actually quite a nice insight into the Hanks world, and
Mm,
he's a lovely storyteller, and he's got stories to tell. So
yeah,
so that side of
yeah,
podcasting, I think, if you allow someone
yeah,
the scope to waffle like me now,
mm, yeah.
you know, you can often get a thread that you want to pull at and think that's really interesting. I want to hear more about that. So,
Yeah, that's the secret I've found is to let people
mm.
talk, because one thing that we don't do on this podcast, and maybe we should, but it would require organisation and pre-planning, and you know that's
Hmm.
come on, this is supposed to be fun, not an extension of work. Is we don't ask a preset list of questions. You know, we don't send out questions to people, say, look, this is what we want to talk to you about. It's an opportunity for people to come on the show and just to talk. And I think we've got quite a bit out of people by giving them that latitude.
Well, that's it. You actually get honesty, I find,
Yeah,
because if you give them preset questions, it gives them time to think. So you have a premeditated
yeah,
answer. But if you
yeah,
do it on the spur of the moment, you get the truth.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny because you've mentioned that you like comedy, that you like, you know, a laugh, and then you've mentioned that you're quite serious about your music as well. So should I take it that you're a Radiohead fan then?
Conversations we have about this.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to put that in there. So a serious question then. So obviously I've been doing the podcast now for the first 20 episodes. Um, you will be bringing a different kind of angle to the podcast because you will be looking for slightly different guests than I've been looking at. So where are you going to take your section of the podcast?
Well, I bring professionalism. That's for sure.
Oh my God, listener, never let me drink when he's talking.
That was brilliant. You gave that absolute silence because you're having a drink. So yeah,
That's perfect. That. What's the secret of good comedy? Timing.
timing.
Timing. I said timing.
What will I bring to it? Yeah, I like to really get into someone's psyche, not in not in a psychiatrist way. Tell me about your mother, not in that side of it, but to really get to get to the sort of nitty gritty of it. I want to find out
Yeah.
about the creativity, and I want to find out about a person and what leads them to that. But I like to have a chuckle with it, because I think when you are so serious with one side, bringing levity to it on the other is definitely a nice way to approach.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we're going to struggle with when we're doing the podcast together is actually keeping the levity in check, shall I say?
Oh, we're terrible,
because we do have a habit of bouncing off each other until we don't know when to stop. Yeah, so I think what we should commit to here is actually no outtakes on this podcast.
I wouldn't even put money on that.
Oh, the fear in your eyes. It goes out unedited.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So a couple of guests that I've already lined up for you are composers.
Yes.
People that have worked in film and TV, because
that was my request.
One of the things that you expressed an interest in. Yeah, so we've got a couple of those coming up for you. Anything else that you want to look at? Any different parts of creativity? I know we're going to do Project Hush soon, which will look at the mental health aspect of creativity. And I know we've both got a lot to say about that, and the guests will as well. But is there anything else apart from composers? Is there any other walk of life that particularly interests you?
Well, musicians in general.
Please don't say prostitution, please. He's shaking his head. Now he can't talk.
No, definitely musicians. I would like some comedians as well. I think that would be great to find out where that nugget of creativity, that seed is sown, and what that leads to. And the fascination from that, I would say, comes from that double-edged sword of comedy that many are attributed with, which is the mental health side of it. Looking at Robin Williams as a huge example, and the sad clown. I'm intrigued by that, the psyche of that. So that's one side as well. But the film music side of it comes because that's what I studied a big part of at university. I'm fascinated by it. And wrote for screen, wrote for plays, actually composed for live theatre, which was great fun. So I'm very interested in that side.
I think one of the things for me with talking to comedians, I've spoken to a couple now, and I think the thing that always fascinates me about them is that, being a musician, I understand about song structure, but song structure can be quite predictable at times, as can lyric writing and chord progressions and all things like that. That they have to conform to a certain norm so that people understand it. But comedians can go anywhere and do anything at any time, and how that brain works and comes back around to a punchline at the end just fascinates me. The problem I've got when I'm talking to comedians, I spend all the time laughing and not necessarily thinking about the next question. But we will have more of everybody on.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to get stuck in with this and just to meet new people.
Meet new people, indeed, yes. And I've met some really good people so far. I certainly wouldn't say I've met any strange ones yet, which is always a positive side.
Speaking to one now.
Oh, no, yeah, well. Right, okay, so that's Dan. Welcome him on board. Make sure that you start listening to, listening to the podcast, rather. Some episodes will be me interviewing people, some episodes will be Dan interviewing people, and some episodes will be what they call a threesome, I suppose. That'll be both of us interviewing somebody.
I didn't get that memo.
No, I haven't written it up yet.
Good Lord.
Good Lord, indeed. So this is Mondo Street Social Club with a bigger cast now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening.
Ta-ta.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you to our guest. As always, please like, share and subscribe. Feel free to hit us up on any of the socials. And our website is www.mondostreet.co.uk. Looking forward to seeing you again on our next episode. Bye.